subscribe.
The Angry Ops Guy podcast, featuring Mike and Christina, pushing the ops machine forward no matter the grind. Real talk, real stories, and hard truths from two battle-tested pros.
Hello, ops friends. We're back. It's another Thursday. Me and Christina are exhausted. We hate everything and everybody, but let's talk about shit. To all -5 people that follow this podcast, welcome to episode 7.
I wonder if my mom has listened to this yet.
Oh no.
I just have to ask.
Did you share it with your mom?
Well, she would. I don't like specifically share. You should listen to this, but she obviously
Why?
follows me on things.
Not nice. So my partner in crime in Western Alberta wants to do nothing to help get a new audience to this podcast. Like, I'll take your mother all day. That'll put me at 52 followers.
I would be interested in what my mom thought about this aspect of my job, because I don't know if she would know about this piece.
Does she know about your relationship story with Peter Pilarski? Or is this something she'll learn through the podcast?
We should.
She comes back to you. She's like, Christina, I would have driven you to school if I would have known you were doing this.
We should bring her on to talk about the first time she met Peter. That would be a good. I think it would be high entertainment value.
It's like me bringing on my mother, and then she's like, yeah, nice, my knuckle-dragging Neanderthal son. I'm like, thanks, Mom.
I think people would enjoy a Mother's Day episode where we bring our moms on.
Okay, now you just changed it, because that's hilarious. Like, if we did a Mother's Day, we had our moms on, imagine what my mom would say about, because my mom and me, we have the same kind of temperament a little bit. That's not fair because she's a sweetheart, but my mom is a tough piece of iron. And that's what I love about her, because I'll be like, hey, Mom, I broke my leg and soiled myself and I got fired from my job. She's like, great, what are you going to do about it? I'm like, okay, Mom, thanks. That's my mom. Figure your shit out. Ain't no come cry on my shoulder. My mom's like, you figure your shit out, you idiot. I'm like, yes, Mom. That's what happens when you have a Ukrainian mother. Tough. And her mom's even tougher. My God, what do they call the pot, calling the kettle black, or a piece of iron or whatever? My grandmother, she will saw you off at the knees, all 4 feet of her. My God.
Apple doesn't fall far.
Yeah, well, my dad's a polished businessman and my mom's a nice lady, and somehow I didn't get either of those traits, and now I'm here spewing swear words and fat jokes on a podcast of no one.
What's the you gotta mash those two up, a nice lady and a businessman, so you're a business lady?
More like a meathead. Oh, my dad probably just cringes. He's like, I taught you better to be professional. And I'm like, hey, Dad, what the fuck's up? And he's like, oh, God. He's like, will you just shave already and just be normal? I'm like, thanks, Dad. No, my dad's my biggest fan. He's cool. He follows the podcast, and I don't know if they listen to it, because I don't know if they know how to get to podcasts per se. It's just not their realm. But
that is a good point.
My dad was actually one of the supporters. I told him about this, again, like we said earlier, I thought this was going to be laughed out of a room to start something like this. And I thought my wife, Missy, would just be like, this is the stupidest idea. You're boring as hell. And she's like, you should do it. And I was like, really? And so once she gave me kind of her vote of confidence, I was like, well, that means I got to do it. And then I talked to my dad. My dad is not technology savvy and the full do this and that and whatever. He can do social media, he can do emails and internet. And he was like, sounds like a great opportunity. He goes, why not? Give it a whirl. I'm like, okay, Dad, want to come on the podcast?
Businessman podcast. Businessman.
We probably just end up talking about baseball and John Candy movies. So,
well, I think we should bookmark this, put a pin in it for a Mother's and Father's Day episode. The where your favorite ops duo came from, their origin stories, care of their parents. I had a great text message from my mom the other day where I was asking for, I don't know, I needed her Costco card number. This is a wild story. Very ops related though, because we always need numbers for. Anyways, I was doing an Instacart order for Costco, needed to put in a membership number, realized that my membership had expired a month prior, but you have to renew your membership in person. So asked her, can I just use your membership number? And then the reply was, I need you to call me to make sure that this is you and not someone who is hacked. And I said, Mom, if someone hacks you to get your Costco card number, give it to them because then you will receive the benefit at the end of the
Yeah,
year.
exactly. It's a
The check.
win-win. Yeah, it's a win-win. Like all of a sudden your mom's got like $1,500 cash back. Take that and just
Run.
and on this episode of cybersecurity and penetration testing. Oh God. So what do you want to talk about today? Since there's no theme, there's no rhythm to this, and we've just turned into using the first 30 minutes to basically catch up since you don't respond to my audio clips where I'm trying to extend friendship. And the best part about it is I can see when you actually look at it and whatever else. Like I can literally see it active. I'm like, well, guess I'm not on her good list for a Wednesday evening.
Leaving you
Like
on.
Emily here at the beginning. Hey, Em, what do you think about my revisions? To be honest with you, Mike, I haven't even looked at them yet. Perfect. Gonna go back to my hole.
I
Peace.
always don't make people think I don't reply to you. Just this last week I've sucked, but
Yeah, as I'm sitting here working late at night trying to do podcast edits for Emily, and I see you canceling ops podcast meetings and everything else. You got all the time in the world to cancel the schedule and everything else, but you can't come back and say, "Hey, buddy, I'm alive. I'm okay."
that was my signal. That was my smoke signal. When an ops manager starts making calendar changes, you know they're alive.
Yeah. Oh, wonder how my friend Christina's doing. Oh, there she is.
Just updating her January calendar so her
Delete, delete, delete,
clients.
delete. Like I saw it deleted, and I thought it was for today, and I
Oh,
was like, she just deleted 2 weeks in a row on me, and I was going to write back. I'm like, so podcast is over already. Eh?
no, no.
You're
Um,
busy. Ops people are busy, and guess what happens when we all get busy in ops? All the other stuff takes a back burner. That's why, we're going to get these podcasts out when we can because we're too busy selling and dealing with fulfillment. Both me and you. You got new staff. I got new accounts starting. It's the end of the year. Like something's got to give. Like even last night, I did those edits for all of us. I was like half asleep, like trying to get through it, and then here we go again, another day in ops. And like this is the first time I've had all day to breathe. Like truly, like I've been go 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 since 9 o'clock, and now I get an hour to debrief with you, and away we go.
away we go. Yeah,
Well, so what's on your heart?
what's on my heart?
Well, other than things that we can't say on the podcast that we have to turn it off and then we can really bomb it. But we should do some Q&A of like stories out of ops. Like the stories are what's hilarious, and I would love to pick your brain of those like shitty moments where you're just like, this is my life. God help me. No?
Yeah, no, I think I feel like I can share specific stories around that, but what I will say is probably when I hate ops most is in the transition of a staff person leaving an organization
Mhm.
because you need to, especially for us, because we deal with a lot of social media accounts too. Like that is how
Yeah.
it is dealing with shutting off access. And yes, what I love that we talk about is like the perfect process and it exists, but like how many gaps there are in actually
Did you just
getting
say
it
the
to
perfect process actually exists? Like,
like, on
what did you
paper, but like when you execute it, it doesn't exist.
There's no process that ever works properly. You build the process, you're like, oh my God, look, it's gonna work. And then right away, it's like, soon as it's like when you turn it on, the elastic band snaps right away. And you're just like, perfect. I'm no farther than I am. And what do? We are fixers. That's what ops people are. We just fix constantly, and we still can't figure out why half the stuff breaks.
Yeah.
It just breaks.
Well, and even just from the perspective of people
Mhm.
is okay, shout out to EOS. One of the principles I love about EOS is the fact that it reminds us that every 90 days, people forget, they get complacent, and that's why we do quarterly rocks. That's why we do quarterly meetings. That's why, like, That to me was a huge light bulb moment because I think one of the things that I hated most was like annual reviews where you're talking about some goal you made last year that has nothing to do with the business anymore, or a goal that was really important that everyone forgot about and nobody decided to execute on it. Um, and that being said, from a process perspective, it's like, okay, when you're new or when there's a new process or when there's a whatever, everyone's like, yeah, following it, doing great. But as someone's tenure increases, goes by, time goes by, it's not what's our topic? Mike is sending me messages about what's our topic.
And I'm
Question,
trying to figure out where we're going because I've already lost the topic off the sheet.
why do we question things? But anyway,
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Why do we question everything? Okay, I'm back on point. Sorry. I had a micro nap there, and maybe I had a stroke. I don't remember.
so, but like people forget and people just start doing things because it's easy, because it's simple, because it's a whatever. And so, okay, Q person moves on to a new opportunity, or maybe you've moved them on, whatever the situation, I don't care. You get into their accounts, you start moving stuff around, you're redelegating, and you see immediately where process that you have thought about and you have created because there is a reason for that process because you've asked questions, you've seen what works and what doesn't. You know, make sure all social media accounts are only connected through X over here, not X the platform, but X as in a place that people are. Um, and then you realize, okay, well, someone's connected their personal account to something. And now there's some sort of two-factor authentication. And now I've got to track down someone that I don't really, no offense to anyone, like I don't really feel like talking to. Now you've got to figure it out. So to me, I think the hardest part is when someone leaves. And I mean, I feel like I've had this actual conversation with many ops managers in the WSI network, including Denise Bowen has given me great advice on this because for whatever reason, I'm going to chalk it up to being a mom because I just feel like I now get a little mama bear momish with my team and with my staff. And I absolutely like hate and will retort everything like, we're a family. Like, no, we're not a family. But like, I for sure give those vibes sometimes. So like,
Do you like when you catch yourself saying that, or people like, this is a family, like, and then you see the people in the back like vomit in their mouth and try to hold it in. They're just like, please don't call us a family. Like, this is a work environment. Like, I get called all the time, like, I treat you guys as my family, and they're like, fuck off, Mike, you and your family analogy. Like,
go treat your family like, anyways. So
you treat your family like you treat me.
but it's like when someone leaves, I get into this place of first there is like a personal component. Like, other than those people that, you get rid of within that probationary period quickly, it's not a fit, they've moved on, you've moved on. Like you still live a year or two or a few years or a few months. No matter what the situation is in leaving, there is still this piece of me that's like, oh, like I invested my time. I had fun with you. I liked sending you memes. I liked our
It
funny.
hurts when you lose people, no matter what relationship you have, because I think when you're in any type of leadership, a management role where you have people reporting to you, or like yourself, an agency owner, and I'm running ops, is like you you go back to what you said, you build comfort with people, right? And it doesn't even matter their execution, but you're comfortable with them. They jive with you, you know how they work, whatever, and so forth. And then like it's literally like somebody just ripping a piece of your heart out when somebody leaves, because especially in small agency business, right? Because you really depend on those 4, 5, 6, 7 people you might be fortunate to have
Yeah.
if you have a larger team, but those people are essential, right? Like, this isn't corporate 101 where you've got 50
No.
people on a floor, one guy leaves and you never even knew the guy's name. Like, you lose John or Jane, and it's like, whoa. And then to your point, it's like you feel gutted.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, this is going back long time ago. Peter had an original employee that was like his lead developer. And the gentleman was very smart, dude. And he was like my backbone when I got forced into project management because he was the best guy I had to do so. I depended on him for everything because
Yeah.
he was a wizard. And then the guy quit. I resigned. And I remember being in Peter's office, being like a mentally immature, fractured little kid, and it was like, oh no. And I crumbled. Like I was one of those moments you have like a nervous breakdown, whereas I was like, what am I gonna do? I just lost my guy.
Yeah.
And it took me a while, again, with experience and maturity, and a couple of those, you kind of go, here's another one. But to your point, though, like you invest money, time, effort, feelings, whatever on people, and they work for you for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then they say it's time to go, and you're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because one, you got to restart. Two, you got to figure out what they were doing and that they, to your point, follow the processes that you think they were following. And it's always interesting when you get access to somebody's email when they leave and you start poking around the sent box is saying, how busy were you really? And you
Yeah.
look at the inbox in the last email because there's no folder structure on the left-hand side that they've been moving folders. And the last email was 13 days ago from a customer. And the sent mail shows that they've put 4 emails outbound in the last 2 weeks. And you're sitting there going, oh boy.
And there's 6,000 emails in there just in general, just hanging out. No idea if they're actioned or
Projects that just not moving because they chose to unread the message and just let like it's going to bury on itself. Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's by the way, I know I'm just the most random person, but there is a tidbit here for the audience of one, which is you mentioned earlier is if you're hiring somebody, then you must make sure that you have a probationary period. Protect yourself as an IC or an agency owner. Um, Christina said it really well. Like those first 3 months of vetting somebody new are pivotal to understand if they even have what it takes to do it. And you got to have almost an insurance policy for you as the agency to say, if I got to chop this person on day 2 or chop this person on day 30, I can do it without the whole we're terminating you and here's a compensation pack. Like there's got to be a probationary period because there are so many people that somehow get through the application process, get through a psychometric assessment or personality test, get through multiple rounds that we feel good about them and they check and balance.
Yeah.
And then, like I said in one of the other episodes, it's like, okay, now it's time to log into WordPress. How do I log into WordPress? Oh no.
And like I think people go, oh, that I don't know. Like I would say at this point in my journey, pretty quick. Like I would say by the 8-week mark. So even if your probationary period is 3 months or 6 months, which absolutely bake it in, by 8 weeks, I know.
Do you like 3 or 6 months?
I do
Like
3
you do, yeah, we do too. Three.
because I you just know. I mean, I'll share one story of a probationary hiccup. Stir the pot a little bit. I will leave names out. I will leave names and dates out to
Nice
protect.
job, dog. 2018.
So, very hiring process, was referred to someone by someone I trust. Um, Great interviews, great so-called skill set, similar to yours. Oh, I've been a WordPress expert for a million years. This was different. This was like a different tool. Um, Anyways, Star was going to be great. Wonderful. This hire for us didn't live in Calgary, lived far. So we paid to bring them in for team training at the beginning of the year. We always do our big like holiday team training, whatever. Paid big investment. Here we go. And you're getting into the second week and you're like, I haven't seen anything. Like I've given you stuff to do. We're not just, we're onboarding, but as you're onboarding, you're giving those little projects and hey, get your nose into here, do what you need to do. So no deliverables, no nothing. Punctuality started going downhill, wasn't quite, missing for parts of the day. And I just was like, I got to cut my losses. This guy has overpromised. underdelivered. It's time to just move on. I don't have the time to train on what he said he already knew, so we're moving on. He always had like big earphones on during all of our calls, and we're all remote, so it's a remote team. Like, like I'm now holding up headphones to only Mike can see me, but like big headphones, like he would be on every call.
Did you get those because you're just enamored with Taylor Swift and you just want to blare it through your day or what?
Absolutely. But so I called him first thing in the morning, was going to have the conversation with him.
Mhm.
I would like to know your line. My line is always, unfortunately, we're going to have a tough conversation today. That's just like that's my reflex of when I am going to move someone along. Fortunately, we're going to have a tough conversation today. In that moment, he took his earphones off and leaned into the computer to hear what I had to say. So to me, this was just the moment of, so those aren't the sound of the meeting in your ears. You are listening to something else completely while we are having team meetings or conversations. And then you're doing the thing in your mind, right? You're flipping back through your index of like all of the times and for sure, like he'd have his headphones on during meetings. And then every so often, he'd push one back. And I thought, oh, maybe it's
So
just my
you
loud
so you
voice.
you think now that basically was listening to music or whatever and basically not paying attention to most of what was on the screen in these meetings, conversations with you and Peter and whatever else?
There you go. Exactly. So it was like,
Good Lord.
so it was this wonderful moment of confirmation. Because again, we are not heartless. We are maybe angry, but we're not heartless. So I don't like having those conversations. But in those moments, there are these pieces of hope that it's like, oh, he wasn't even listening to anything. So absolutely, I've made the right call. And off he went
People
into the
people
sunset.
people are funny, eh? Like it's just I could never see myself disrespecting somebody like that. Like, okay, look, we got these screens, we got a million tabs, there's too much going on, and let's be honest, who hell pays attention to everything directly anymore? But to sit in front of your employer, to sit in front of your team, and to just basically disrespect people, that's what it is. Like,
Totally.
oh my God, that would drive me nuts. Like even for myself, like I'm sure I do this because again, I got massive screens and again, I definitely have some sort of ADHD where I can't pay attention because I'm always micromanaging something. But um when I'm on like team meetings or whatever else, and not even team meetings, just meetings in general, and you can tell people's eyes aren't focused on you. And
Yeah.
you can tell you're getting, like you said, you're getting the one earphone off, like, yep, yep. But they're over there and you can tell they're typing feverishly.
Yeah.
I'm just like nowadays as I get older, I'm like, I'll wait for you.
Oh, me
Oh,
too.
sorry. I'm like, no, if you're not going to pay attention to me, then why am I going throwing my hands around her like a typical Italian, trying to be dramatic about selling you paid advertising and you're not even paying attention to me?
Yeah.
No.
Do you guys have a on-camera policy or like a how to show up to Zoom policy or Teams because you guys use Teams usually like do you have that baked in? Like how do you get that across to your team? What your expectations are?
Um, we haven't really done something like that to say like here's the dress code and this and that. Now, obviously, we want our team to be professional on camera, but in fairness, since the Zoom era took over, kind of COVID and beyond, there's so much lax with the business meeting dynamic, right? Like, you got customers showing up in t-shirts, you got people sitting on a chair, you got other, half of my team, including me, wears baseball hats, all these, and like I used to think in those kind of early days, like this is not professional. Even
Right.
my wife Missy was like Mike, like get the baseball hat off. You're a VP of operations, like at the time, like you got to
Yeah.
look the part, man. And I was like, but that's kind of my identity is my hat. And everybody in the WI network knows me by I'm the hat guy. Um, but I think that's changed. I don't think anybody really respectfully gives a shit. I think if you come completely unshaven and you look like you're intoxicated and look like you just walked out of bed, now, yeah, there's got to be a policy to that. Or you got chest hair sticking out where the guy's eating it while he's talking or something like, but I don't think it's like the old days where it was like, oh, I got a business meeting coming in, and Mike on a day where he's in production working is wearing jeans and a golf shirt. Mike, they're doing a kickoff meeting for a website project's wearing, a pair of slacks and a tucked in button up shirt to be, kind of respectful to the customer coming into our office. So that piece there, we try to encourage people, like obviously facial hair and everything like that. Like you can't look like you're homeless. Um,
Good rule.
Sorry, but you got to look like you actually put a little bit of effort to get up this morning and do something. But um, one thing that we kind of really tried to mandate or request though was we do want everybody to be on mute on team calls, and
Okay.
we want them to use the raise hand feature, because what we realized very quickly when we got into virtual world and virtual team meetings and stuff is just talking over each other, like I do with you on this podcast, where basically I don't let you say anything. And the entire WSI network knows more than ever that I'm an asshole and just I have to dominate everything. So sorry, I'm going to say publicly sorry.
I'll start raising my hand.
Don't. Don't make me feel worse than I am. Jack Porter Smith already slaughtered me. He's like, hey, mate, you're fat. And he goes, and shut the fuck up every once in a while. I'll let Christina talk. But otherwise, I love the podcast.
Stack.
Yeah, Jack's like, Christina's got some good things to say if you just shut the hell up and let her say them. Like, thanks, bud. Hope you're doing well. Love you. And he's like, P.S. You're fat. I'm like, I know. Love you.
Um, on
Oh,
the
Jack.
on the policy side, so I just recently made an on-camera policy.
Did you?
More so because, like, not the what you're wearing. Whatever. Again, I feel like bang on, I agree with you. Just don't look like you're homeless, like, or unhoused. That's the way we're supposed to say it now, Mike.
Yeah,
Not
or don't be drinking a cocktail at 10 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to sell something, or smoking a joint just because you think it's okay because you're in your home to like, oh, hold on, let me light this up. I'm like, you can't do things like that. Like you still have to be, you're still at work. Just because you're working in your underwear doesn't mean that you're not at work.
It's true.
Or
So
you hope they're wearing underwear. You never know.
you
Go
never
ahead.
know. And I have said that before. I'm like, waist down, I don't care as long as you don't stand up. And Emily did share a story with us.
I
Did
thought that was going in a completely different direction. Like
Emily did share
Emily stood up one time and she
a client? I don't know if this has made it onto the podcast or not. We'll have to like get her, but she had a client who thought she was camera off, didn't have pants on, stood up.
so
And
she got the full Emily got the full show?
yeah, her and Brad. Shout out to Brad. He will be on every episode, I'm sure. Her and Brad. And it was not her face. So like Emily and Brad are staring at each other like, oh my God. Anyways, I digress. Um,
Can you imagine, like, you're sitting there, you're all professional, and you're just like, thank you very much. And you know what? We really want to make sure that you're educated to make an informed decision. She's like, thanks so much. Send the proposal, it'll be great. She gets up and it's just Cooterville. Like,
that's what it was. Full on. Pantsless.
well, and it's like other people have said in the network, you got to just talk about on-screen policy. Um, it's like Eric Cook said in he put it in Workplace before he moved over to Work Vivo. He was like, everybody, he's like, these AI listening tools don't necessarily turn off when you leave the meeting.
Yeah.
He's like, so don't be sitting there spewing venom saying, God, this client's an idiot, and
Yeah.
thanks a lot to you, effing loser, or whatever else, because that shit's getting recorded, and some of those systems fire off the transcript to everybody that was on the call, and all of a sudden they're reading that Christina ain't as nice as Christina ended the call. Like,
Action
again,
item. Go fuck yourself. That's what is captured.
that can I tell you, speaking about that, I was on a call, and I think it was a mastermind call, and I got on early, and one of the listeners was on, and I think it was the ops mastermind or whatever, and I
Yeah.
got on and I was in a mood, and I got on and somebody's like, Mike, nice to see you, how are you? And I'm just like living the fucking dream, and I said something else, and I didn't know there was a listener, and then it started, But then, for example, I think Denise, our mutual friend Denise, she can't make the meeting, or she comes late, and she's like, I got to catch up. And then she catches up and she's reading the transcript. The first thing is Mike living the fucking dream. She's like, oh, looks like you were having a good week. So yeah, be really careful of what's in the room nowadays, people, and what you look like on camera, because there's always somebody listening, watching, or transcribing. And there ain't no privacy anymore to sit there and blow off on somebody. To bottle it, go downstairs, and just let it out. But don't do it in proximity to your microphone or your screen.
No, it's true. I feel like, okay, so on camera
What's our
policy,
topic again?
we've changed it. It's now about
Okay.
Zoom or something. But
You picked a topic and you went a different direction.
okay, it's who we are. We'll circle back at some point. What I like from an ops perspective of like initiating on camera is
Yeah.
when you get to know each other. Like there is something about seeing each other. I don't want an organization of people that we don't even know what each other looks like. We're all off camera. There's a
We
level
don't
of
we don't live in conference call world anymore where it's like, hi, Christina from Alberta. Hi, Mike, how are you? And you think it's just a voice. I will say that I don't have it as a policy, but my own personal policy is if you're going to get me on camera, look, I work full remote now. That's what our agency is.
yeah.
But I always have my microphone on and my screen, and you see me no matter what I look like, good or bad or indifferent, but I'm there.
Well,
I have no tolerance for people that, unless they adamantly say, I'm sorry, I don't have a webcam or whatever,
right.
which again, fine. But if it's simply like, no, I'm staying off camera, that just it doesn't rub me right anymore. I should respect people not wanting to be on camera per se, but
Yeah.
we're conducting a business meeting and I'm giving you me. And I need you to give me you, because again, I'm sitting there selling. I'm sitting there trying to understand whether you hate me, you resonate. Like right now, you're nodding at me, acknowledging that I'm on point, or you agree, and that subconsciously tells me to go this direction or that direction, right? And because you feed off people's energy, you feed off people's body language. You got a black screen in front of you and this voice talking like the old days with all this technology, and you're like, you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't even know if they're listening to you.
Yeah. No, to me, it is a huge respect piece. And I think
I
from
think
the
so.
ops perspective, it's the accountability of now your people are there and showing up and looking good enough to put a camera on. Um, my other like extension for ICs that use suppliers, make your suppliers do the same thing.
Couldn't
They are
agree more.
part of your team. If they cannot turn a camera on, if they cannot come to the table, they are not your partners. I think that is always my one request. And I would say, in especially early days when I was figuring out who my suppliers were and who I liked working with, those that couldn't come to the table like this and meet me where I was and be camera on and share a smile and a laugh and a whatever, you get more work done. I don't want to sit and come and stare at myself. I know what I look like, right? Like, I just think it's this huge piece. And
It's the human element, right? Like anybody can talk, but when you have a face on screen, and again, even through the screen, energy is infectious, right? Like you said, whether it's fun, Christ, both of us are salespeople and ops people.
yeah,
Your energy is infectious if you want somebody to buy you. That's what ultimately we're doing. They're not buying tactics, they're buying you. And if you have energy and that's conveyed, it can still be on the screen versus in the boardroom kind of thing. Like, but yeah, to sit there and just have a conference call, like we have the technology now. Get yourself $100 webcam
yeah,
and get it set up. And we were saying here this, we got this running joke with Emily that she's got nothing on the wall behind her desk, but it's like, also, if you mentioned about like, oh, look at you changed your office. Well, I'm sitting there going like, I'm on camera and I'm starting to realize that the background I have, I don't want a blurred background, I don't want a fake background.
yeah,
My background looks like shit. And not even the podcast where you want to record stuff in time, like video to help, with media, but it's like, what perception am I giving people if this
right,
is my workspace? Like yours, I've complimented you since day one when I was able to see you here in regular Canes. Like, I love your background because I remember I said to you last week as a joke, I was like, I thought this was your office in Alberta. You're like, no, this is my home. But the way you've done it with the angle and the stuff, I was like, wow, these guys at CIPR got a nice office. And then I think your camera moved one day and I saw the doorway and I was like, that's a house. And I was
Yeah,
like, but my point being is I never thought this was your home. And same with your Peter, different layout. He likes to
right.
stand a lot, but doesn't feel like it's some broom closet.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a broom closet, but you got to make it. You're trying to sell tens of thousands of dollars of marketing service, and you're trying to say, look at me, I've got a shitty wall and I've got clutter and garbage everywhere and I'm disheveled and the camera's wrong and it's blurry and stuff. And it's like, no one's going to buy from you at that. They need to feel that you're sitting there like you're fueling a multi-million dollar agency and you talk the talk and you look the part. The whole package has to be there.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I also think it shows personality. Like, I have my old comic books behind me on the wall.
I love that, by the way.
It saves me a lot of because some if there's nothing to say, someone will say, "Oh, what's that? Or those comic books telling me like," and it lets people know, "Oh,
Icebreaker,
okay,
your background's almost icebreaker topics when you're having those
right.
awkward moments. Like, remember those hats that were behind me?
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many customers or prospects were like, you're a baseball guy. Hey, what's your team? Jays, because they know I'm in Toronto area and whatever. But then
right.
they see the other ones are like, yo, man, you really like hats. But to your point, that was the only
Yeah,
thing they would fixate was they saw 3 or 4 rows of hats, but that's what they were able to go in. And then it was funny. Their shoulders go down. I start smiling and talking, and then all of a sudden the guy's having a conversation with me about baseball. And now we can naturally get into digital marketing versus hello. I'm going to present something to you today, and you don't want it anyways. And let's make the next hour of your life boring and uncomfortable.
right.
And he's like, "Are you a Dodgers fan?" I'm like, "My dad is." Well, I'm a Dodgers fan. Well, I'm going to sell you something that's tailored around Dodgers. Let's go.
Right? Like I think people don't realize it is. It's the view into someone's whether it's home or office or whatever it is, but show your person you're letting them in. Show your personality.
Yes.
Be afraid to. Like,
Show your personality. Um, and again, I'm not saying this to be mean. Look at yourself in the mirror, not what you look like, but again, put a WSI shirt on, put on a collared shirt or a nice blouse if you're trying to sell a proposal versus looking like you just came out of the gym and you're, in a tank top. Make sure your background fits the vibe of what you do because I think you said something right. Is personality is important, right?
yeah,
I'm not some Mickey Mouse sales guy that's just like doesn't know anything about anything. If I'm going to come into the room and say I'm the chief operating officer of this 25-year digital marketing agency, look the goddamn part. And that means also your background and your setup. It doesn't have to be thousands and thousands of dollars, but what you put out there is representing what you want them to bring to you. And if they see garbage in the background and piles of bags and food particles and everything else, they're going to sit there going like, I'm going to pay $1,000 to this hoarder.
yeah,
And like it's not a good perception for people that, again, you're asking people in today's world to spend thousands of dollars a month. And now you don't necessarily have the ability to say, come to my boardroom
right.
and get to know Mike for 3 hours to feel good about your decision. Now you're doing it through a screen where somebody is just injecting you into their day saying, hey man, sorry, I'm on a job site, I got my phone here, let's go through this discovery call. Like, you got them wherever they can
Yeah,
accommodate you, but you better wow them no matter what they bring to you, because you don't have that ability to, as you said, lean in
yeah,
and say, "Wow, Christina's really invested in me. She's in on me here, and I can tell that she's not as apprehensive as she was when she walked in." And
yeah,
again, your Peter would resonate with that comment 101. He's looking at body language all the time because that's
totally.
his signal to say, "Do I got somebody?" In the sense of we're going to be able to win a new deal.
Yeah,
It's body language. It's not what they say.
yeah. No, it's true. Um, Can taking us all the way back to our original on camera question that was
Our
not
topic
about
again.
what you look like. but about other things like paying attention. And so the reason I created the policy recently was there were too many darting eyes. So, too much of the clearly like looking down, someone's on a phone
Yeah.
outside of the view, too much of I know your camera and your screen is here, but you're looking at the second screen over there.
Yeah.
Too much of the, for some reason we've decided that three of our team members need to be on a client call and two out of the three aren't paying attention. So like, well, why the hell are they even there? So for me, it became this reminder of if you're there, you're paying attention. If your camera's on, you're paying attention. You're there to engage. You're there to have a conversation. If you're just there to listen and you're being brought in for background or something like that, totally cool to put your camera off, put yourself on mute. You're just listening. You're working on something else. Whoever's chairing that meeting can say, hey, yeah, Mike's in this meeting too. Mike from the team. Mike turns his camera on, waves hi. But I just thought it would be good for him to have some background today. You and I will keep chatting like we always do. He's going to be listening in the background. Like just some explanation for that. Because again, there is this
Yes.
perception with a client where they are paying you. And it's like, why the hell did I pay all these? Three people aren't even paying attention. And
Yeah.
like, just that vibe. Also, the like, sometimes you got to leave and come back. And I feel like there was this awkwardness that was being created around like the bathroom break or again, most of us were working from home. The doorbell rings and there's a package at the door and you need to run. And then there's this like commotion about like, I'll be right back and then you're not muted and you hear this awkward conversation about like, yes, Betty lives here. I'll sign for her. So there was this really mechanical reminder of like, shit happens, literally. So if you need to deal with that, mute, camera off, do it, and then come back. As long as you're not the one in mid conversation. But it almost just like laid this foundation again for let's just remember to have some common courtesies. Because yes, we all sit at desks all day and we're in work mode. But like, remember when you're talking to someone, you need to give your attention. So for me, it was this like way to have a conversation with the team without being a dick. Cause I worry about that too, right? Like, Mike, you never pay attention to me. You're looking at your phone. So it was like this nice way for me to bring it to the whole team and to have the conversation about like, what are things that bother everyone when they're on a call? And you can relate it to a client, they can relate it to a past situation, but now you're having this like disarming, helpful conversation as opposed to like, I hate that he said it looks like you're on your phone all the time. Oh, I'm actually not on my phone. I twiddle my thumbs and I get nervous making eye contact. It's like I don't want to have that conversation. Just look at the screen, right? Like so it avoided I feel like that piece for me, which is why I made it's a very simple policy. It's more of like a checklist. Do these things, remember your angle. I don't want to see up your nose. Um, but yeah, I thought I would
Well,
complete my thoughts.
again, right? Like, uh, mainly what I think about with what you said, I like your policy a lot. I think it's smart because, you know, you have in today's remote world, you have people in a much wider net working for you, right? Like it could be in different provinces, different states, different countries. Um, but those people need to maintain, again, like we said in other podcasts, the core values, the culture, and the respect of the agency they work for. And all of them have to put that same kind of output and display, right? So to your point, it's like Christina has a wonderful backdrop and she's well presented and looks like the leader of CIPR. And then her three people that are on the call that are really the lieutenants that are doing it look like slobs. And I'm not saying your team is, but like if
Yeah.
they don't represent consistency with you, then it's like then the questions start coming, right? It's like to your point, if all the other team members are off camera and don't want to be, oh, hello, hi, it's like, but nobody, it's like,
It's true.
oh, so you farm all this stuff out and you just have a bunch of contractors that you got off Kijiji
Totally.
versus saying like this is our team.
Yeah.
You don't need perception with customers of, like you said, early warning signs of not being excited about where you're taking them, saying right away, like, am I working with a professional agency, or is this literally a lady that's in her underwear working in her basement with a bunch of hooligans? Because again, sadly, there is a lot of digital marketing agencies that are exactly that, a basement setup with a 1 or 2 man shop. Because again, anybody with a laptop and internet connection and a little bit of ability to go on search engines thinks they can do digital marketing at some level. And look, there's a lot of good independent contractors that get their slice of the market share. But, that's not CIPR that's asking for $5,000, $10,000 a month to do professional PR services and research and strategy and whatever. If you're going to be asking for that type of money, you better look the part and better act the part and better speak the part to maintain the confidence that that customer made the right decision to invest in you.
Yeah. No, it's true. Who knew we had so much to say about turning a camera on?
I still don't know what the topic is, but I'm just trying to go with you. This is your podcast.
This is
Next week, I was thinking about this yesterday because again, I think about the most random things. Is like yesterday, I was at I don't know if at the grocery store, I was out doing an errand or whatever, and I was like, you know what? This should just become the Christina podcast, like the Drew Barrymore show, where it's like Drew. It's
on
like
the
so
couch.
it's the Angry Ops Guy podcast for 6 episodes, and then all of a sudden it's like, and welcome to Thursdays with Christina. And it's like I just disappear. I was like, that's how much confidence I have in myself, where I'm just
Oh
like,
my.
because I've been listening to the earlier podcasts, the ones that I've been access to. You speak so damn well. Like,
Oh,
don't tell me you don't. I know that you have a background in this, and even you said like this is what I do. But like your ability to segue and flow and just actually have a point, and then you have Meathead Magoo over here who's like for like 8 minutes at a time, like hyperventilating and sweating because of like obesity. Like I listen to myself. I'm like literally to Emily. I'm like, just chop 8 minutes of me and go back to CP because she has something to say. So can I hire you to teach me how to talk better?
you know what? Great plug for some shameless self-promotion of media training, which I do offer often. But what's interesting about that, tying it to our topic, is
Okay. Can you tie it
is
to the
is when I do media training now. So this is a
top?
good pivot from a service perspective. Old school media training was like a guy in an office who would come in and like stick a microphone in your face and what are your key messages and go and whatever. So how I've tried to differentiate, and again, always try to differentiate your services, blah, 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 is it's like I'm not an old white man. I'm young. I use Zoom every day, and most likely the media is going to call you and want to talk to you on a video call because they are all getting laid off. There are like 3 people in a newsroom now, and they don't have time to travel towards you. So I feel like a big chunk of my media training is like training people how to like speak to a camera, be concise, shut the fuck up when they need to shut up, move on, turn your other
So
screens
you're
off,
basically you're preaching to me
distractions.
right now of everything that I have to do.
Okay, next time I do media training, I'll bring
Be
you in.
concise. Be concise. Look at the camera and talk. Shut the fuck up. Christina Polarski, everybody.
I
This is
love
why you
media
need to
training.
buy media training from CIPR, from
It's
the
true.
best.
It's true.
But you
Um,
you speak so well, and like
oh
it's
my.
like a smooth transition to everything you want to say, and you hit your notes, and it's like I have a stroke halfway through my first thought, and then it does. That Will Ferrell part in Old School when he does the debate and he doesn't remember where he is for a moment, but it actually sounds like something. That's me. And
Uh,
it's obnoxious.
you
It's
are harder. That I feel like that's always
That's
what
what Emily said. You're too hard on yourself. I'm like,
it's true
I
though.
deserve it.
We're our own worst critics. Like I tell people from a media perspective too, it's like, don't watch yourself back. That's why you like hire a PR person. I will watch you back. I will give you the comments that you need to know, but don't watch yourself back because you're going to be overly
Well,
critical.
why aren't you editing the podcast so that I don't have to just murder myself every night
I don't
saying
want
I'm a
to edit
loser?
myself because I think I would be just as critical of
Well, the
me.
best part about it too is like we're trying to get these down to like a 52-minute run time. Emily's got like an hour and a half to work with, and literally my notes are cut me, cut me, cut me, keep CP, keep CP. She's great. Let her roll. Go, 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 go. So I'm basically gonna limit by episode 10, I'm gonna eliminate myself.
Wow, that sounds scary for me.
Not at all. You're gonna monetize the shit. It's the angry ops gal. Way the audience skyrockets, got like 600. Cheryl from head office starts following. She's like, finally something that I want to follow and not Mike's bullshit. Shout out Cheryl,
Shout out to Cheryl.
creative marketing ops wizard.
Um, okay, what were we talking about? So we started with, because you asked me, what is the hardest part? Like, tell me stories of your hardest part. Hardest part is like staff leaving, right? Staff leave. There's this part of like, ouch, that hurt my heart. And then there's this part of, ouch, what the fuck were you doing in the last 3 months, right? So there's this like emotional and
It is an
I don't know.
it is an emotional roller coaster because like one moment you're upset because you've lost somebody you cared about, you trusted, you thought were going to take apart your team. The next moment you're angry as hell knowing that they were cheating the system and telling you I'm so busy, but again, one email in 2 weeks
Yeah.
or 150 things not read. um yeah, it's a vicious cycle to get over because again it hurts, and it hurts because it's your brand, it's your baby, and like you said earlier, your mama bear, your
Yeah.
mama bear at home, and you feel that responsibility with your team. You and my Peter says this too, is like my Peter does not like to terminate people a lot unless it's really necessary.
Right.
And he's always said, because that's the thing he holds on to is his people, meaning he really believes in people. It's
Yeah.
one of his biggest traits, even if it's a flaw sometimes, just in the sense of maybe we held on to somebody too long. But
Right.
like it's the people is what enamors him, and that's what hurts him when people leave, because he does feel like, because he feels that responsibility, which I'm sure you do, is I take care of these people.
Yeah.
My business success, my business stability and health is which allows these people that trust in me to want to work towards my business goals and security, allows them to make an income. So people like you and Peter who know the payroll and know what's got to go out and what's got to come in, you are very sensitive to the health of the business,
Yeah.
because if you're not bringing in enough money or you're having months in the red, then right away it's I got to make sure I pay these people, and I got to take care of that. That's my responsibility, is you give me 40 hours of work and I'm going to make sure you get a wage to help pay your mortgage and support your family and your children and everything else. So that mama bear analogy, is really relevant, because that's, you're just taking on the responsibility of being the mother of the ship.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's why it hurts.
it's true. And I think, this is maybe where, I don't know, the ops person gets the bad rap because obviously in 15, whatever it's been, almost 15 years, um, I've had to let a lot of people go, more people than I wanted to. The
Yeah.
very first person I ever let go, still have not spoken to her to this day. She
Okay.
was someone I considered a really close friend. She was someone I worked with prior to CIPR. I left that organization. She also did. She was off doing her own thing. She was subcontracting for me for a while. All of a sudden, I hit this growth stage, right? Peter had joined. We were selling lots. I needed someone else to help with execution. She came on. We were a very different agency back then. So we didn't have digital marketing yet. We weren't a part of the WSI family. Um, we did creative. So we had design in-house, which is something that, was part of her passion. So pulling her in there. And, the years went on and it became very clear to me as a business owner that there was no money being made in the creative space. It is hard. Like, kudos to every creative agency out there because, when you're in your 20th round of revision and a logo and they've reverted back to the first version and
Oh.
you're just looking at all of the money you have lost in there, it was way too hard for us in terms of what our goals were in terms of what to have that creative department. And so we made this, I pivot back to my line, this unfortunate decision to close the creative wing, which was at that point, the main thing she was doing. And so the conversation was, hey, like this is shitty, but like I want to make sure you land okay. And how do we make this work? And that conversation, and it was met with, fuck you, business owner. You only care about money. You're just trying to money, money, money. Bottom line, you hate me, you whatever, and in that moment, I cried. That was my first person I fired. I cried on the call as well, which, in the heat of a moment when you're the one receiving the layoff, I know, whatever, your boss, whatever, I get the other side of it. Um, but I I wish in some distant worlds that people understood that it's not always because we're these terrible, sinister, angry people, that like we also have to make decisions for our business, and those are not easy to make. And as an ops person, we know the numbers. We know what capacities need to look like. We know what performance needs to look like. We see the invoicing. We know my business coach always says, like, you always need levers to pull. And unfortunately, on a balance sheet, levers to pull are also people. And, if the business is moving in one direction and all of a sudden you've identified, I need a digital marketer. And that at the time, it was like, we brought in WSI. I need a digital marketer. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. That salary, that person is what's key to my business and moving people forward and keeping food on the table for everyone else, then the creative component and pushing out 5 more logos. And so, I mean, I don't know what I'm trying to inspire, but every decision is hard in ops. You're allowed to be human about it. And, eventually the pain goes away. I don't know. Mike, help me. How am I trying to be inspiring here?
I don't know. I'm just listening to you. This is your podcast. Next week, guys, we're rebranding it. It's just called Christina.
Tina's musings.
No, I think kind of in wrapping up here, just on the point of why is, like you said, why do we question everything? I think is that what we're going back to? Like, why do we question everything?
Yeah.
Or why is ops hard? Or even what's the thing that, I look at as one of those things is like, I think ops is hard because operational people really take pride in fulfilling and taking care of people and putting out a good product. And I think it's a really slippery slope, no matter age or maturity or just experience of not letting it consume you. And I'm the biggest advocate. I'm the biggest example, sorry, of that, because I let it consume me for a lot of years, and what that can do personally and professionally. And then you realize that you're not efficient and you're not being as creative and powerful with your brain because you're just so, there's a topic, a real good topic to show real vulnerability in life. It's like what that toll that can take, and we'll definitely put that on the calendar. But I think that's why it's hard, is like, you really got to be passionate to want to be part of the grind. And it's fast paced and it's challenging and it's reactionary. And like you said, there's 25 revisions, and then customers go back to the same first version because they just want to play on your dime and stuff. But it's it's understanding that it is a job, understanding that it has to have an end time and a start time, and it sounds so stereotypical, but it will be there tomorrow.
Totally.
And I don't remember if I've used this line. I probably did on episode 2 or 3, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But my Peter says this all the time: is Mike, we're not doing open heart surgery.
Yeah.
And it's that hilarious ironic wisdom of someone older with experience and maybe more patience at that stage of their life than someone like me that is just so wound up to do everything and not disappoint anyone. Is just like, Mike, nobody's going to bleed out on the operating table today. If you don't get that website update done, if you don't get that landing page done, it's going to be there tomorrow. You don't need to send that email at 11 o'clock at night, because all that does is show the customer that you are working at 11 o'clock versus respecting the boundaries of the workday. So I think that's one of the hardest things, just not is ops can consume you if you fixate on it, and you need to find balance. And you need to know how to be, you got to learn to be efficient and know when to stop, because again, it will be there tomorrow. There will be 50 more emails in your inbox tomorrow. Deal with them tomorrow on a fresh brain, because you're probably going to say something stupid in the evening when you're tired and burned out, or you're just going to open the door for someone to think, I can email Christina 24 hours a day and she will respond to me. That's not CIPR's policy.
No.
CIPR's policy is we work 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I have a family and I have children. And I got to make supper and I got to give my husband attention or my wife attention.
Yeah.
There's balance. So that was probably the hardest thing for me to, and it still is, to learn. I'm better at it, but I had some years where, man, I burned the candle way, way, way too hard. And I look back at it now saying, what was it worth? Nothing. Just got me into trouble mentally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, I would say ops is full of hard decisions. And so almost like not the counterpoint, but don't put off the hard decision. It's not, to your point, it's not heart surgery, but it's also like, I love the cliche line of like, it's business, it's not personal, right? Because sometimes in those moments, the mama bear is taking things very personally and is thinking too much with the
But you
heart.
do take it personal because your
Yeah.
name is on everything that goes out. So again, you have to be personal with it, but you just have to know where to draw the line because it's business. These people are necessarily not your friends. They're not your nephew or uncle. They're not someone that's coming to Christmas dinner. They are paying you to fulfill a product or a service fulfillment for them.
Yeah.
And if you do it right, then they will respect you and want to carry the relationship on. If you do it badly and they say F you, they're never going to talk to you again. And you got to be able to find a way to let that go. Because again, you got to focus on the next person that respects and trusts and wants to invest in you and wants to grow with you. And you've got to be able to let that, because again, it's business and business will keep coming, but don't fixate that everything has to be perfect. Don't fixate that you're going to please and take care of everybody. And there are some people you are just not going to be able to impress. Get over it and just work on putting out a kick-ass product and let your fulfillment and your solution do the talking for you as you navigate ops. And
Exactly. Yeah.
this has been an interesting episode. I can't wait to see how we edit this one to actually make something out of it.
Right. But like, and it goes back because we talked a lot about staff today, obviously. It's like, don't wait to make the hard decision, right? Like, don't let that be what keeps you up all night is I gotta have, the first person that I let go, I stewed on that for 6 months.
Yeah. And then you fixate it and then it makes you sick and then it gets way harder to do. Like again, you got to pull the pin, no matter what that is, you got to pull the pin.
100%.
And live or die by your decision. And most of the time it will be a better outcome for CIPR, the agency, or your own mental health. Short-term pain for long-term gain is usually the way it actually sees itself through.
Totally.
Well, you have children to go pick up to be mom of the year. So Christina, do we solve anything this week?
No, we did not.
No kidding. See you next week.
Good luck, buddy.
This angry ops guy just needs to unplug.
Here we go again.
Yeah, well, I announced the podcast and now my career is over.
Because you have a new career now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Work at a street corner.